The crash in the dark woods night on the alien planet was never truly silent. In the woods, strange birds called out from the shadows, and soft blue lights flickered from the glowing plants. Tonight, however, there was something new. A loud roar split the air, and then came the thunderous crash. The trees shook. Smoke and sparks lit up the sky for a moment before everything fell quiet again. Lyra, a young alien girl, crouched low in the bushes. Her skin was pale blue, her big golden eyes wide with fear and curiosity. She pressed a webbed hand to her chest, feeling her heart beating fast. She had seen the fire fall from the sky. She had seen the silver pod spin and tumble through the trees. No one in her village would dare come here. This part of the forest was forbidden to close to the place the elders called the Cursed Woods. But Lyra was always curious, always searching for things others were too afraid to find. She waited, listening. Was it safe to move closer? Lyra's mind raced with stories she'd heard from the elders. The Cursed Woods swallow up anyone who enters. Sometimes, if you listen very closely, you can hear voices crying for help. But tonight, she didn't just hear a voice, she heard a scream. It was a sound like nothing she had ever known. Raw, sharp, full of pain and anger. It cut right through the air and made the hair on her arms stand up. Lyra knew she should run. Instead, she crept forward, pushing through the ferns, her feet silent on the soft, mossy ground. She saw the crashed pod now, half buried in the mud, metal bent and steaming. Something was moving inside something alive. She stopped and watched. The creature crawling out of the wreck was unlike any she had seen. He was tall, his skin light, hair dark and short, blood trickling down his face and arms. He wore strange clothes, torn and dirty from the crash. His eyes were squeezed shut from pain, and his legly raw stomach twisted at the sight. His leg was bent the wrong way, and bone stuck out through his skin. Lyra had seen animals injured before. Usually, they stopped moving and grew quiet. But this being, this human, was still fighting. He dragged himself away from the burning pod, gasping and talking to himself in a language Lyra did not know. She saw him reach for something in his pocket, a small black box. He pressed it to his mouth and spoke. The box crackled and spat out noise, but there was no answer. He cursed softly and dropped the box. Lyra pressed herself lower to the ground, not daring to breathe. If he saw her, what would he do? Was he dangerous, or just lost and hurt? She remembered what the elders had said about the outsiders never help. Never speak, or you'll be cursed, too. But as she watched him, she saw something that made her doubt the old stories. The human didn't give up. He rolled onto his back and looked up at the stars, his face twisted with pain. His eyes shone with tears, but he blinked them away. Slowly, he pulled himself to a fallen tree and rested there, chest rising and falling in ragged breaths. Suddenly, the human looked around. He must have heard a branch snap under Lyra's foot. He called out, voice hoarse, "Is someone there? Please help." Lyra's whole body froze. Should she answer? She knew she shouldn't. If the elders found out, she would be punished. But then she heard the pain in his voice, a pain so deep and real that it felt like a hand squeezing her own heart. She took a shaky breath and answered, just a whisper. Who are you? The human's head snapped towards the sound. For a moment, their eyes met, gold to brown, fear to hope. He tried to sit up straighter, but winced as pain shot through his leg. My name is Jack, he said, forcing a smile. I crashed. I need help. Lyra looked at his leg again, at the blood soaking his pants and the broken bone. She had never seen a wound like this. No one could survive such pain, at least, not anyone she knew. Jack noticed her staring. He tried to laugh, but it came out as a groan. It's bad, I know, But I'm not dead yet. Lyra's mind spun. She remembered the herbs her mother once used on a cut, the water that ran cold and pure not far from here. Maybe she could help just a little. No one would know, right? But then the night grew darker, and the sounds in the woods changed. Something big was moving through the trees, drawn by the crash and the smell of blood. Lyra's fear returned. She had to make a choice: run away and leave this strange human to his fate, or risk everything to help someone she didn't even know. She took a step closer, trembling, her voice barely louder than a breath. "If I help, you must be quiet. The forest is dangerous at night." Jack nodded, sweat on his forehead. "Thank you. Please." And so, two strangers, one human, one alien, were thrown together by pain, fear, and a single moment of bravery. Lyra reached out her hand, and Jack took it, gripping hard. Together, they disappeared into the darkness, while the unseen dangers of the forest watched and waited. The bone-snapping sound. The forest was full of secrets at night. Cold mist twisted between the trees, every leaf seemed to whisper warnings. Lyra led Jack deeper into the woods, moving quickly but carefully. She carried a tiny light in her hand, a soft blue orb that floated just above her palm. It gave them enough light to see, but not enough to draw attention. Jack leaned on her, teeth clenched in pain. He tried not to groan, but every step was like fire in his leg. Lyra kept glancing at his face, amazed that he was still awake, still moving. She'd never seen anyone hurt so badly and not give up. They stopped at a hollow, hidden behind thick roots and moss. Here, the forest muffled even the loudest sound. Lyra set Jack down as gently as she could. He slumped against a log, breathing hard, eyes squeezed shut. She looked at his leg again. The bone stuck out, white and sharp, pushing through his skin, and the cloth of his pants. Blood soaked everything. Lyra felt sick, but she remembered what her mother had taught her. Do not panic. If you panic, the hurt one will panic too. Jack looked at her, sweat running down his face. He managed a small, tight smile. "What's your name?" "Lyra," she answered softly. You need help. My people, they don't like outsiders." "But maybe I can help a little." Jack nodded. "Thank you, Lyra." He looked at his leg, grimacing. "I have to do something before I lose too much blood. You might not want to watch." Lyra shook her head. "I want to help. Tell me what to do." Jack tried to chuckle, but it turned into a cough. "You're braver than you look." He took off his belt and wrapped it above the break, pulling it tight. He searched for a stick, found a thick branch, and handed it to Lyra. "I need you to hold this under my knee. Hard. Don't let go, no matter what you hear." Her hands shook, but she did as he said, bracing herself. She could feel his pain, like heat passing from him to her dot. Jack grabbed his ankle with both hands. His face turned pale. "On 3, he said, though his voice was shaking. 1, 2, 3. With a sudden, wild movement, he pulled. The bone slid back beneath the skin with a sickening, loud snap. The sound echoed in the hollow, bouncing off the roots and stone. Lyra gasped, nearly dropping the stick. Jack's scream filled the darkness, raw and awful, a sound full of suffering and will. But he didn't let go. He pressed his hands over the wound, breathing hard, eyes shining with tears. Then, as the pain began to fade, he forced himself to laugh, a hoarse, broken sound. "Sorry," he whispered. "Had to do it." Lyra stared in disbelief. She had never seen anyone choose to make such pain worse, just to survive. "Why?" she asked quietly. "Why did you do that?" Jack looked at her, his eyes tired but determined. "If I didn't, I would die. Humans. Sometimes we have to do hard things to stay alive." she handed him a piece of her cloak to tie around the wound. "Is that how all humans are?" she asked, still shocked. Jack managed a small grin. "The stubborn ones? Maybe." They worked together in the blue glow. Lyra remembered a plant nearby that her mother used for cleaning wounds. She ran out, quickly picking the soft green leaves. Jack tried to stay awake, but the pain was draining him. She pressed the crushed leaves against his leg. It stung, but... Jack gritted his teeth. "What's that?" he asked. "Healing plant," she said simply. "It keeps away bad things from the blood." He nodded. "You're a good healer, Lyra." Lyra's heart warmed at his words. She had always felt different. From her people, too curious, too willing to help strangers. But tonight, she felt brave. Suddenly, a noise cut through their quiet moment. Heavy steps, somewhere out in the darkness. Jack tensed, reaching for a rock. Lyra's eyes went wide. "It's the night beast," she whispered, voice trembling. "It comes when there is blood." Jack tried to stand, but his leg would not support him. Lyra quickly scattered more healing leaves to hide the scent. She blew out her blue orb, plunging them into darkness. They held their breath as the steps grew closer. The beast's heavy breathing was loud, snuffling, searching. Lyra clutched Jack's hand, trying to steady her nerves. The creature came. So close they could hear its claws scraping the bark. Minutes felt like hours. But at last, the beast lost interest. It moved off, crashing through the brush. Hunting something easier than a desperate human and a stubborn alien girl. When the silence returned, Jack squeezed Lyra's hand in thanks. "You saved us," he whispered. Lyra smiled, relief making her knees weak. "No, we saved each other." Together, in the deep woods, their strange friendship began to grow, born from pain, courage, and a choice to trust when trust was hardest. The hunt begins. The stars above the forest were fading. A cold wind swept through the trees. Lyra and Jack sat close together in the hollow, both still shaken by what had happened. Jack's leg was wrapped tightly with Lyra's cloth, and her. Healing leaves had stopped the bleeding, but pain still throbbed through his whole body. Lyra checked the bandage, trying to hide her worry. Suddenly, a distant howl broke the quiet. It echoed, low and deep, making the ground tremble. Jack looked up, eyes wide. What was that? Lyra's face grew pale. "It is the night beast. My people say it hunts those who are weak or alone." The crash must have brought it near. Her hands shook as she listened. More howls. Closer this time. Jack struggled to his feet, leaning on a broken branch like a crutch. His teeth gritted, every muscle tense. "We can't stay here, Lyra. It'll smell the blood." Lyra knew he was right, she thought quickly. "My village is too far, but I know a hiding place, a cave not even the elders know about." She took Jack's arm and helped him stand. The forest seemed to close in, every shadow suddenly alive. The ground was rough, full of roots and hidden stones. Jack tried to move quietly, but his broken leg slowed them. With every step, he hissed in pain, sweat shining on his forehead. Lyra kept looking back, ears straining for any sign of the beast. They hadn't gone far when a new sound ripped through. The woods, a crash of branches and a roar, so loud it shook the air. Lyra froze, heart pounding. She grabbed Jack's hand and pulled him behind a thick fallen log. They crouched, barely breathing. From between the trees, a huge shape moved in the darkness. The night beast was bigger than any animal Jack had ever seen, like a giant wolf with scales instead of fur, eyes shining orange in the half-light. Its nose twitched, sniffing for prey. Drool dripped from its fangs. Jack clutched a stone, ready to fight, even though he could barely stand. Lyra whispered, "Don't move. It sees by movement." The beast's head swung their way. Its snout sniffed the air, then it let out a snort and padded closer. Jack's heart hammered in his chest. For a moment, he thought it would find them. For sure, but just then, a flock of bright birds burst from the trees nearby, crying loudly. The night beast turned, distracted by the sudden motion, and charged after them. The ground shook as it ran. Lyra let out a shaky breath. Now, it's gone, she whispered, pulling Jack up again. They hurried on, moving as fast as Jack's injured leg allowed. Thorns scratched them, branches tugged at their hair and clothes. The forest was alive with noise crickets, the far-off yelps of smaller creatures, the pounding of their own hearts. Finally, they reached the cave. Lyra pushed aside a thick curtain of vines, revealing a narrow entrance between two rocks. Inside quick. She urged Jack, ducked inside, Lyra right behind. The cave was cold and damp, but safe. No beast could squeeze through the tight opening. They both slumped to the ground, exhausted. Jack tried to catch his breath. "How did you find this place?" he asked. Lyra looked around, her eyes soft in the darkness. "I used to come here when I felt scared or alone. My people don't like caves. They say bad spirits live here. But I never saw any, only quiet and peace." Jack gave a tired laugh. "Today, I think the cave is the safest place on this planet." Lyra smiled, but it faded quickly. "The beast will keep hunting. If it finds the crash site, it may not leave for days. We can't go back yet." Jack nodded, then looked down at his shaking hands. "Thank you, Lyra. You could have left me." "Why? Did you help?" She hesitated. "I don't know. Maybe. Because you didn't give up, even with so much pain. And you were kind. You asked for help, not with anger or threats. My people fear humans, but you're not like the stories." Jack tried to move his leg, wincing. "Not sure I'm the best." "Example of a human right now," he joked, and Lyra smiled as they rested. Lyra pulled a small fruit from her pouch and handed it to Jack. "Eat, it will help a little." He bit into it. It tasted sweet and strange, but good. "Do you think your people will come looking for you?" She shook her head. "Not tonight. They don't go into the cursed woods after dark. We are safe for now." Outside, the forest was restless, the beast still hunting. But inside the cave, something new was growing between the alien girl and the human trust. Jack closed his eyes, letting the pain fade for a moment. Lyra watched him, thinking of the stories she'd been told and how different the truth could be. She sat close, ready to keep him safe, even from her own fears. The night was not over, and danger was still near. But together, Lyra and Jack had taken their first step toward surviving, not as strangers, but as friends. Asterisk secrets and stories. The cave was dark, but not silent. Rain began to fall outside, tapping softly on the rocks. Water dripped down the walls, making tiny rivers in the dirt. Lyra listened, hugging her knees to her chest. She watched Jack, who was shivering and pale, eyes heavy with pain, but still open. Lyra remembered her mother's words, "Never let anyone die alone in the dark." So she reached into her pouch and pulled out a piece of dried leaf. She crushed it between her fingers, then placed it in Jack's palm. "Chew this. It will help with pain," she said softly. Jack took the leaf, nodding in thanks. He put it in his mouth and made a face at the bitter taste, but chewed anyway. "You know a lot about healing," he said. Lyra looked away, embarrassed. "My mother was the healer for our people. She taught me everything she knew before." She paused, her voice fading. Before she was taken, Jack's eyes softened. "Taken?" Lyra nodded, staring at the wet stone floor. "There was a sickness. Some of the old ones say it came from the stars. My mother tried to help, but she fell sick too. The elders sent her away to the mountain. I never saw her again." The cave felt colder now. Jack's voice was gentle. I'm sorry, Lyra. Where I come from, we also have sickness and loss. She glanced at him, curious. Is your world full of pain too? Jack gave a tired laugh. Not always. There are good things, family, friends, light. But sometimes, yes. Sometimes there's pain and fear, and you just have to survive. Lyra wanted to ask more, but she heard a strange sound from outside, a shout, far away, almost lost in the rain. She froze, listening. Did you hear that? Jack nodded. It sounded like a voice. Lyra's heart raced. She crawled to the cave entrance, pushing aside the vines just a little. Through the rain, she saw a faint glow moving between the tree torches. She whispered, My people, they are searching. If they find you, they will be angry. Outsiders are not allowed in the village. It is an old rule, older than I am. Jack pushed himself up, worry on his face. You should go to them, Lyra. I don't want you in trouble because of me. Lyra shook her head, stubborn. No, I won't leave you here. Not with the beast still hunting. She looked at him, her eyes bright. You saved me, too. If you hadn't come, I would still be hiding from my own fears. Jack smiled, a little stronger now. You're braver than you think, Lyra. She looked down, her cheeks darkening with color. I don't feel brave. My people say I ask too many questions. They say it is dangerous to help strangers. She hesitated, then added, Do all humans help each other, even when it hurts? Jack thought for a moment. Some do, some don't. I think the best ones try, even when it's hard. My father used to say, if you see someone in pain and you can help, you must. Maybe that's why I can't give up, no matter how much it hurts. Lyra smiled a little, thinking about Jack's father, a human she had never met on a world she could only imagine. She wanted to know more. Tell me about your world, she whispered. Jack looked up at the ceiling, thinking. He talked about blue skies and green grass, about oceans so big you couldn't see the end. He described the smell of rain on stone and the way sunlight feels on your skin. Lyra listened with wide eyes, picturing every detail. She had never seen an ocean, never felt sunlight on her skin. Her world was mostly dark. The sun hidden by clouds. As he spoke, the storm outside grew louder. Lightning flashed, thunder rolled, but inside the cave there was a strange peace. Lyra felt safe, and Jack seemed to draw strength from her listening. After a while, Jack asked, Why do your people fear outsiders so much? Lyra's face turned. Sad. Long ago we trusted a traveler from the stars. He brought strange gifts, but sickness followed. Many died. Since then, the elders say outsiders are cursed. They believe pain comes from those not like us. Jack nodded slowly. Maybe that's why we're both here. To show them it's not true. A new silence fell. Lyra leaned closer, whispering, Do you miss your family? Jack's voice broke. Every day. I hope they're looking for me. I hope I see them again. She reached out, touched his hand gently. You're not alone. Not anymore. For a long moment, they sat in the darkness, sharing secrets and stories, drawing courage from each other. The storm finally began to pass, and a pale light crept into the cave. Lyra knew they could not hide forever, but for now, they had found something rare on this world, a little hope. Outside, the beast still hunted. Lyra's people searched the woods, but inside the cave, a human and an alien girl dreamed together of a better tomorrow. The village finds out the rain finally stopped. Thin morning light touched the trees. Lyra and Jack sat quietly in the cave, both tired but awake. Jack's leg was healing slowly, thanks to Lyra's care, but every move still brought pain. listened to the birds singing above. She knew it was almost time for her to sneak back to the village for food. Suddenly, the ground outside shook. Voices rose between the trees. Lyra's heart jumped. She heard her name shouted, sharp and angry. Jack sat up, worry on his face. "What's wrong?" Lyra swallowed. "My people. They must have found the crash, or my tracks." Her hands trembled. "They are coming." Before they could hide, the vines at the cave entrance were torn away. 3 tall aliens stepped inside. Spears in their hands, faces full of fear and anger. Lyra's older brother Darren stood at the front. His golden eyes were blazing. "Lyra, what have you done?" Darren's voice shook with shock. She stood up, stepping in front of Jack. "Don't hurt him. He needs help. He is not a threat." The other villagers gasped when they saw the human. Jack looked strange and weak to them. They murmured to each other, some backing away as if he were a monster. Darren pointed his spear at Jack. "He is cursed. You brought him into our woods. The elders will punish us all. You broke the law, Lyra." Jack tried to stand, leaning on the cave wall, his face white with pain. "Don't blame her. I crashed here. I needed help. She saved my life." Another villager, an older woman, spat on the ground. "Outsiders only bring pain. We must send him to the night beasts." Lyra's voice shook. "If you do that, he will die. He is hurt, but he never tried to harm us. He is brave. He even fought to stay alive, even with a broken leg." The crowd argued. Some said they should listen to Lyra. Others shouted for the elders to decide. Jack looked at the faces around him and saw only fear. He understood he was a stranger here, and fear makes people cruel. Soon, the village elder arrived. Wrinkled, serious woman with long silver hair. She entered the cave, her walking stick tapping on the ground. Her eyes moved from Lyra to Jack. "Why did you bring this one here, Lyra?" she asked quietly. Lyra lifted her chin. "He was alone, suffering. Our laws say to help those in pain. My mother always helped. Are we not better than the beasts?" The elder's face grew hard. "The last outsider brought a sickness that killed many. If you want to save him, you must choose. Stay in the village or go into exile with the human. You cannot have both." Lyra felt the world tilt under her feet. "But he will die alone, and I will never see my family again." The elder nodded. "A choice must be made by sunset. If he is here after dark, he will be taken to the forest. If you stay with him, you can never return." The villagers stepped back, leaving Lyra and Jack alone. Her brother Darren looked torn, but did not speak. Jack turned to Lyra, guilt in his eyes. "You should go, Lyra. I'll find a way. I don't want you to lose your home because of me." Lyra shook her head, tears shining in her eyes. "You don't understand. You are my friend. You taught me not to be afraid. How can I turn away now?" Jack took her hand gently. "Sometimes being brave means letting go so you can be safe." Lyra looked away. The cave felt smaller and darker. She thought about her mother, about all the lessons she had learned. Maybe being brave means standing with a friend even if it costs everything. They sat together as the day passed, neither speaking much. Outside, the villagers watched, waiting for sunset. Lyra's brother came once, leaving a bundle of food at the entrance. He whispered, "I'm sorry, Lyra. I wish things were different." As the sun sank behind the trees, the shadows grew long. Lyra stood up and faced the fading light. She looked at Jack, who tried to smile, though his face was tired and pale. "I have made my choice," Lyra said quietly. "Whatever happens, we face it together." Outside, the villagers waited, their faces hard and cold. But inside the cave, Lyra and Jack found warmth in their friendships stronger than fear. Stronger than any old law. As night fell and the first howl of the night beast echoed across the woods, Lyra knew she was right where she belonged, no matter what came next. She would not run away. Proving humanitine had fallen over the forest. Every sound seemed louder now, every crack of a branch, every distant howl. Lyra and Jack sat together at the cave entrance, watching the last light fade from the sky. The village was just beyond the trees, its huts glowing with small lamps. Jack could sense Lyra's worry. She hadn't said much since she made her choice to stay. He reached out, squeezing her hand. "You're brave, Lyra, no matter what happens. You did the right thing." She smiled, but her eyes were sad. "I hope my people will understand one day." Suddenly, a scream tore through the night. Then another. The village bells began to clang, urgent and sharp. Lyra's body stiffened. Something's wrong. Jack struggled to stand, grabbing his crutch. Pain shot up his broken leg, but he ignored it. "We have to help them." Lyra hesitated for a split second. The law said she was an outsider now, but she could not forget her people. "Come, follow me. Stay close." They hurried toward the village, moving as fast as Jack's leg allowed. As they reached the edge of the trees, they saw chaos. The night beast, bigger than ever before, had come out of the darkness, drawn by the scent of so many people. Its orange eyes glowed, teeth bared in the firelight. Villagers ran in every direction, some grabbing spears, others screaming for their loved ones. Jack's heart raced. He looked around, thinking quickly. He saw children trapped by a burning hut, unable to escape as the beast blocked their path. The villagers tried to fight, but the night beast knocked them aside with its massive head. Jack turned to Lyra. "We have to distract it. I need a rope, anything strong." Lyra nodded, running to grab a vine from the nearby trees. Jack scanned the ground, searching for anything he could use. He found a broken wooden plank, then hobbled to where Lyra was already tying the vine into a lasso. "Here," she said breathlessly. "But what can you do?" "Your leg." Jack shook his head. "I don't have to run fast. It's just enough to make it look at me." He limped forward, swinging the vine in a shaky circle. The beast's attention shifted, orange eyes fixing on him. "Hey," Jack shouted, voice loud and clear. "Come and get me, you ugly thing." The night beast charged, smashing through huts, its roar shaking the air. Jack threw the loop of vine over its snout, tugging hard. For a moment, it worked. The beast thrashed, distracted. Lyra shouted for the children to run. They scrambled, free, racing to their mothers. The beast jerked, snapping the vine. Jack fell, rolling away just in time as its claws struck the ground where he'd lain. Pain flashed through his leg, but he gritted his teeth. He saw a pile of burning wood nearby. With all his strength, Jack grabbed a flaming branch and waved it at the creature, forcing it to back away from the children. The villagers watched in shock. No one had ever fought the night beast so boldly, not even the strongest warriors. Lyra grabbed a handful of her healing leaves, crushing them, and threw them into the beast's face. The strong smell made the creature sneeze and stumble. It turned and lumbered back toward the forest, crashing through trees, leaving the village shaking but alive as the danger faded. The villagers gathered around Jack and Lyra. The elder, breathless and wide-eyed, looked at the pair. "You fought the night beast," she said, her voice trembling. "You risked your life for a sci-fi after we turned you away." Jack nodded, his voice weak but steady. "You are Lyra's people. She was brave enough to save a stranger. I wanted to do the same." The elder's eyes softened. She turned to Lyra. "You chose with your heart and saved us all. We were wrong to judge so quickly. Other villagers stepped forward, some ashamed, some grateful. Lyra's brother Darren hugged her tightly, whispering, "I'm proud of you." Jack tried to stand, but nearly fell. Lyra rushed to his side, helping him to sit. "You were amazing," she said quietly. Jack managed a tired grin. "I couldn't have done it without you. We make a good team." For the first time, Lyra felt true hope. The old laws were broken, but something better had taken their place, a bond between alien and human. Tested by fire and fear, as dawn slowly colored the sky, the village was quiet again. The night beast was gone, and the people had survived. Lyra sat by Jack's side, holding his hand, knowing that from now on, things would never be the same. Not for her, not for Jack, not for anyone. But maybe, Lyra thought as she watched the sunrise, change was exactly what her world needed. Healing and hope-soft morning light crept into the village. Dew glittered on the grass, and smoke drifted up from the small fires where the villagers cooked breakfast. For the first time in many nights, the forest was quiet. The night beast was gone. Fear had faded, replaced by something new: curiosity and hope. Jack lay in a simple hut, wrapped in blankets made of woven grass. His eyes opened slowly. He blinked at the strange roof above him, forgetting for a second where he was. Then he remembered Lyra, the night beast, and the fight that saved the village. Pain tugged at his leg. But it was different now, dull, no longer sharp and burning. He looked down. Bundle of soft leaves and glowing blue paste covered his wound. Lyra sat nearby, her head resting on her knees, dozing in the first sun of the day. He watched her for a moment, feeling grateful. In his world, no one would believe. This story: a human crash landing on an alien planet, saved by a girl who had risked everything. Lyra woke as Jack shifted on his bed. She stretched, blinking sleep from her eyes. When she saw Jack awake, her face brightened. "You're better." Jack smiled. "I feel like I could walk all the way back to Earth." Lyra laughed. "You barely made it here with one leg. Let's not try for the stars just yet." The hut flap opened. The village elder entered, her silver hair shining in the light. She looked at Jack, then at Lyra. "The healer says you will live, human. You are strong, maybe even stronger than some of us." Jack tried to sit up, wincing. "Thank you for helping me." "I know I caused trouble." The elder shook her head. "You and Lyra showed us that old fears are not always true. You saved our children. You faced the night beast, even when you could have run away." Other villagers gathered at the door. Some brought food, strange fruits, nuts, a bowl of sweet water. They left gifts at Jack's feet and nodded their thanks. Lyra turned to the elder. "What will happen now? Am I still an outsider?" The elder smiled. "The laws are made to keep us safe, but sometimes new friends can teach us to be braver. You may stay, Lyra. You are one of us, and so is your friend." Jack's eyes grew wet. He looked at Lyra, then at the villagers, and felt a warmth in his heart he hadn't known for a long time. "I don't know if I'll ever get home. This place, it's not so strange anymore." The days passed quickly. Jack's leg grew stronger, healed by the alien medicines and Lyra's gentle care. He learned to walk with a sturdy cane. Built by Lyra's brother Darren, the villagers taught Jack about their world: how to fish in the glowing river, how to call birds with simple whistles, how to read the sky for storms. Jack shared stories of Earth. He told them about blue oceans, snow that falls like feathers, cities full of lights. The children loved his tales, and even the elders listened, surprised by the gentle way humans lived on their distant world. Sometimes, when the stars were bright, Lyra and Jack sat outside the village, looking up at the sky together. Lyra wondered what other worlds might be out there. and Jack dreamed of sending a message home, telling his family he was alive. One evening, as they watched the sunset, Jack turned to Lyra. "Do you ever wish you could leave this world? See?" "Another one," Lyra thought for a long moment. "I used to dream of escaping. Now, I just want to make this place better for everyone. Maybe, one day, we'll both see new worlds. But for now, I am happy here." Jack nodded, smiling. "You made a home for me. I'll never forget that." The village changed, slowly but surely. Old laws were rewritten. Outsiders were no longer feared, but welcomed if they came in peace. Lyra helped the elders learn new ways to heal, mixing human ideas with alien herbs. Jack helped build stronger huts and taught the villagers how to make fires that burned longer and safer. One morning, a strange signal crackled through Jack's old radio. It was weak and broken, but it sounded like a human voice. The villagers gathered around as Jack listened, heart pounding. "Maybe one day," he said softly, "I will see my own world again. But I will always remember you, Lyra. You saved me in more ways than one." Lyra squeezed his hand. "And you showed us how to be brave. You are part of our family now." As the sun rose high, Jack and Lyra walked side by side through a village no longer ruled by fear, but by kindness and courage. Above them, the sky stretched wide and open, full of stars and hope and endless possibility. Their story, born from pain and survival, became a legend that would be told for generations, a legend of a human and an alien girl who changed their worlds, simply by refusing to give up.